I'm Trevor Turner. Once lost, now living on purpose. I know what it's like to feel locked out of your own potential. This show is for the ones who are ready to take their power back and write a new story, 1 hour at a time. You can do it. You can do anything, and you don't need permission. That's why I started the free hour, to give people the space to change their story, to remind them you are not your past, you are not your mistakes, you are not done, you are powerful. You can find freedom, you can find yourself, and you decide what happens next.
Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the free hour. It's your boy Trevor Turner. We're back with another video. We are back with another episode in our free hour ABCs, the ABCs of Tree. And this is our mindfulness series. This is where we learn how to be aware so that we can live intentionally. This is how we learn to be aware of today, to be aware of ourselves fully in the moment, in the now, so that we're not ruminating on the past. We're not avoiding those mistakes. We're not worried about the future. We're not living in our anxieties. We're living in the now. We're living in the what do I have to do today to build the future I want? Not running away from the past. Not running away from a future that hasn't happened yet, but living now intentionally and standing firm on the things that we want to come out of our lives. So first and foremost, if you haven't been here before, I would ask that you please like the video, share the video, comment on the video. Let me know if I helped you to get to a little bit of mindfulness. Let me know if what I'm talking about today is something that you're going through. Let me know if any of the things that I've talked about have helped you in some type of way, because your story in the comments section may help somebody else too. If you've been here before, you see that I'm in a new little spot. I got the nice comfy chair in my room, and this helps me just to get in that conversational mode with you. You know, I'm not so worried about being constrained. I'm not sitting in that chair. Like, obviously, office chair, desk chair is a little bit small for me. You know, I'm a little bit bigger. I can kind of like lay out, kick my feet up. I can get in that mode where I just bring you the game that I got in a so much more comfortable way. Obviously, I got my microphones and stuff. I'm going to bring them over here, put them on my table, set them up. I'm going to talk about the books that I'm reading over here. I'm going to talk about the things that I've learned over here. I'm going to do some of my ABC series over here. I'm going to do some of them over there. But one of the things that also is going to go down is that the semester is over with. The semester is over with, and for the very first time in a long time, I am not doing anything in the summer besides work. I'm not doing any classes. I'm not going to be just getting off of work, going to the gym, coming home, and being able to bring you more content, being able to bring you more of this story, being able to bring you more mindfulness, more emotional intelligence, more productivity, more of the things that I learn in my own journeys, more of the things that I come across and that I find, more of my opinions on everything that goes on in the world. And yeah, I think it's going to be real good. I think it's going to be a real good experience. And it's going to feel like, you know, we've really gone into overdrive over these next few months. And it's just because I got a little bit more time. I got a little bit more time to bring myself to y'all. So if you've been here, if you've been rocking with me, I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much. And, you know, let me know. But yeah, let's get to it. Oh, yeah. Also, I spoke at the Rising Scholars graduation, and I gave a speech. I gave like a 10-minute speech. And it's crazy how, because that was literally a manifestation of something that I've been imagining for so long. And it's even up on my vision board. And I got it at work because I'm there, 8 hours, whatever. So I see myself in front of a crowd, in front of a mic, speaking my truths, speaking my story, speaking the things that I found important to help me change, that will help other people do better in their lives, right? And it wasn't just about doing it on this platform or this medium, right? It wasn't just about doing it in front of the camera. It was about doing it in front of people. And then I'm looking at these people as I'm speaking, and I'm telling my story, and the people are just like there with it. And I was just like, damn, like I did it. I did it. I got there. I'm doing things. It was even something that reminded me of the fact that I had already done it at Morris Brown College. I had already done it at some other places. I'm already doing webinars. I'm already doing these other things, man. And it's just crazy to see the progress, because I need to, just like I tell you guys, to bring you have your nose to the grind. You have your head down and you're just working, right? And you're not coming up because you're focusing on the now. Sometimes you got to come up and you got to realize just how far you've come. And it was just crazy that moment, and everything came full circle. And I realized that not only was I helping people through this, not only was I helping people at work, but I was doing what I said I was going to do. I was doing what I said I was going to do. And that's why it's so important for me to continue doing this stuff, because for me, mindfulness was the foundation to get there. Because I talk about visualization all the time. I talk about wanting something with that burning white hot desire all the time. I talk about trying to build your future every single day all the time. I talk about being productive on what you dream about and not just what other people dream about, because a lot of times we get wrapped up in that, oh, I need to be the best worker to try and help somebody else build their dream, and try to help earn a raise, or earn a extra nickel, earn an extra dollar, while they're earning an extra, 20,000 or 30,000 off of your labor, right? And sometimes we need to be productive in our own lanes. And that's why these things are so important, especially the mindfulness, because the mindfulness is the foundation for how I got there. If I was never able to get in the right frame of mind, I could never begin to explore emotional intelligence. I could never begin to work on my productivity. I could never begin to be able to get up there and give people the full experience of my story in like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I could never do those things without mindfulness. So let's get into it. Let's talk about mindfulness, because mindfulness is where we learn to become aware so that we can live intentionally, so that we can build intentionally, so that we can heal intentionally, so that we can interact intentionally. And sometimes healing doesn't happen in one big moment. Sometimes you just slowly become yourself again. And this one fits so well with what's going on with me, and I know is going along with a bunch of other people. And we're talking about momentum. I know the productivity series, we touched on momentum when it comes to productivity. As you just keep going, and as you keep going and you keep winning, you keep building that momentum. And the same thing is true when it comes to mindfulness, because we are becoming ourselves one day at a time. Every victory, every little win, every little time that we're able to be mindful, bring ourselves back to our body, use the tools that we know that we have, use the tools that we have learned, instead of going out and doing those other things, or getting into the past, or getting into the future, or diluting our mind, or poisoning our mind with whatever the case, right? We are slowly becoming ourselves yet again. We're building up the momentum to be able to do it easier the next time. I think sometimes we expect transformation, though, to feel dramatic. Like one day we're just going to wake up different. Like, I made the decision, I want to do things differently. I'm reading all these books. So one day on a random Tuesday, I should wake up and just be different. I should feel different. All my pain, all my woes, me worrying about the past, me worrying about the future, all my anxieties, my depression, all that should be gone right now. We feel like one prayer is going to fix everything, like one breakthrough is going to change our whole lives. But honestly, that's not really how it happened for me. It's not really how it happens for a lot of people. See, for me, it was quieter than that. I just started noticing little things, right? I'm laughing more. I'm feeling more present again. I'm getting back into church. I'm more grounded. I'm more focused. People are coming up to me and telling me like, hey, man, you look better. You look like you're becoming yourself again. You look like you're kind of finding your way, like you got your footing. And I'm not fully there yet, but I'm coming back to myself little by little. A lot of healing happens quietly. A lot of us are facing battles that no one ever knows about. A lot of us are winning victories that no one will ever see the victory, the battle, but they will see the results of it. They will slowly start to see our smiles start to creep in more and more. They will slowly start to see us as we're looking at our phone. We're not hit by that raw emotion of whatever happened to us, that traumatic event, but we're hit by how funny this video is, or what that person looks like, or the beauty that we see in that picture. And they start to see that light come back to our eyes. See, for a while, and even up until recently, I'd kind of gone through a little valley situation again. I think I was just surviving more than I was living. And I think I talked about this a lot last week, but when it always comes back to mindfulness as well. I was moving, I was working, I was doing what I had to do, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually, I was disconnected. And the crazy part, when you're high functioning or when you're high achieving or when you're like high speed, people don't always notice it. You still get to work, you still hit your deadlines, you still show up, you're still outperforming, you're still the person that your clients can rely on, you're still all of these things, right? But internally, you feel off. Like you lost your center somewhere along the way. And it wasn't just the one moment, though, that destroyed me. It was pain has a way of slowly pulling you out of alignment if you're not paying attention to it. If you're not paying attention to what you're going through in the moment, that pain can pull you out of yourself, out of alignment with goals, out of alignment with where your feelings should be at, out of alignment with all these changes that you've done, out of alignment with everything that you've tried to become. If you're not paying attention to, or if you're not letting yourself feel that, or if you're not letting yourself go through that in a healthy way, if you're not being mindful of that, that pain can definitely pull you out of alignment. I think a lot of us do that. We keep moving forward physically while mentally we're drifting away from ourselves, or mentally we're letting the pain numb us, while mentally we're letting this pain kind of take over and do things to us that we probably shouldn't. See, I didn't become disconnected in one moment. I just slowly stopped checking in with myself, because every time I checked in with myself, it was just that pain. It was that hurt. It was that emptiness. It was that absence. It was that my routine is different. It was that I see something and I wish I could share it with this person. I see something and that reminds me of this person. It was all of that. Every time I would check in with myself. So I stopped. For a while, I stopped checking in with myself. And I think a lot of us do that. But the shift for me, it wasn't one giant breakthrough. I know a lot of us are just waiting for that. You know, a lot of us, even in the church, we're asking God for that. A lot of us are in therapy, hoping that that will come, hoping our therapist is going to give us that. It wasn't one giant moment. It wasn't a movie moment. It wasn't a magical morning where everything suddenly just made sense again. It was just time. It was routine. It was faith. It was purpose. Little decisions that repeated over and over. Going back to church did help, not because it instantly solved my life, but because it reminded me I'm not supposed to carry all of this alone. It reminded me that I'm not supposed to even try to carry all of this alone. It reminded me that I'm supposed to give it to the same universe, the same power, the same God that I've given all my dreams to, that I've given all my emotional shortcomings to, that I've given all of my visualizations to. Every time I'm visualizing, every time I'm practicing gratitude, every time I'm doing all of these things, every time I wake up, I'm handing it over to infinite intelligence. I'm handing it over to what Napoleon Hill called infinite intelligence, to what I call God, Yahweh, and I'm handing it over in the form of a fervent prayer. But I was keeping all that pain. I was clutching it. I was holding it to myself. No one can understand this. No one knows what I'm going through. No one's ever felt this pain. No one can help me get through this. And it reminded me I'm not even supposed to try to carry that alone. See, the Bible says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." And for me, that verse hit differently. One of the things that, and even today, the pastor was talking about, that mental tiredness just hits so different. I wasn't physically tired. I was just mentally exhausted. I couldn't get anything done. I couldn't get up. I couldn't drop into breathing. I couldn't do nothing. I was just defeated. I was beat, because I think that I've been carrying pressure for so long that I forgot what it feels like to rest mentally. What happened in October was just the straw that broke the camel's back. My entire life has been pressure. My entire life has been ups and downs. My entire life has been bad experiences. And I think that that was just the straw that broke the camel's back. But routine kept me grounded while life was trying to pull me apart. I just kept going. I knew that there was going to be light at the end of the tunnel, even if I didn't see it. I knew that eventually I was going to get back to myself. I knew that eventually, if I just kept going, I would still get everything that I dreamed about. I would still get everything that I asked for. I would just get it without that person. Momentum shapes identity. A lot of people think mindfulness is about staying perfectly peaceful at all times. But honestly, mindfulness is more about noticing where your life is moving. Because your life always builds momentum in one direction or another. Small habits, small thoughts, small routines, small environments, they shape your identity over time because those small things become bigger things. Those small habits that you have, they end up defining what you do on a daily basis. Your daily routine identifies what your week looks like. Your weekly routines identify what your years look like. The thoughts that you have now that you harbor, that you continue to nurture, that you continue to water, that you continue to let grow, they become the words that you speak. They become the behaviors that you exhibit. They become everything, your habits, all of that. And the environments that you're in, they become who you are. Birds of a feather flock together. You hang with four broke dudes, you're going to end up the fifth one. All of those things, they shape your identity. See, James Clear, behavior science research on identity-based habits, talks about repeated behaviors reinforce identity and emotional patterns over time. Lasting change happens when habits become connected to identity. This is who I am now. This is what I do now, instead of temporary motivation. I didn't become disconnected overnight. You didn't become disconnected overnight. Nobody becomes disconnected overnight. We don't become grounded again overnight either. We rebuild ourselves through repeated actions, showing up, routines, prayer, discipline, purpose, staying connected to our goals. That's momentum. Doing it when we don't feel like it at all. Doing it when we are mentally exhausted. Doing it when we don't got nobody. Doing it when we feel like doing it is going to be the hardest thing in the world. Like it would literally be easier for me to go out there and lay in the street when the cars come than to just get up and do what I need to do. Sometimes going to work for me during that time period was the hardest thing ever. And then I got to deal with the questions like, are you okay? Are you good? Like you ain't smiling. Like what's wrong with you? And not wanting to talk about it, not wanting to put that on other people. Staying in bed was just everything that I wanted to do. I didn't want to have to deal with nobody. I didn't want to try to give anybody relationship advice when I was going through this. I didn't want to try to tell people how to manage their anger and manage their feelings and manage their emotions when I felt like I couldn't manage them at all. I didn't want to help people get up and try to tell people not to use substances and not to drink alcohol or use any of these things to cope when I was that close to doing it myself, when I was that close to going back out. But the thing is that I had built the momentum with the mindfulness that I would show up anyway. The routines that I had, the prayers that I had, the gratitudes that I had, the visualizations that I had, me constantly thinking about the person that I needed to become, it helped me avoid those things that I knew would take me out because that's not who I am anymore. That is not what I do anymore. The way that I cope is like this. The way that I cope is like that. I go to the gym. I go teach people. I go talk to people. I go to church. I pray. I show gratitude. I move on. That's how I cope nowadays. That is how I stay mindful nowadays because that is just what I do. That is the type of person that I have become. And I've built that momentum back when all of this stuff was alien to me, back when all of this stuff was foreign to me. And I found out just how strong it was because it got me through. But at the same time, I found out how unfamiliar this stuff was. Like it doesn't happen overnight. Like it doesn't happen over the course of a year, even 2 years. It doesn't happen over the course of some months. Because when I finally hit the wall and I went through that really tough thing, my first mind was to go back to the things that I knew before, the things that I had been doing for 30 years instead of the things that I've been doing for a couple. the things that I've been doing for a lifetime instead of the new things that I was just navigating my way through. But I had built enough momentum that I didn't have to leave that groove, that I didn't have to get out of this good rut and back into that old rut. Harvard University research on meaning and resilience talks about the relationship between long-term purpose and emotional resilience during stress. And they say that people with a strong sense of meaning and purpose recover from stress and uncertainty more effectively. My dreams stopped feeling like fantasies, and they started becoming structure when I built the momentum. When I started having gratitude for the things that I knew I was going to get, when I started believing in the things that I hadn't seen yet, when I started those visualizations and really feeling myself in possession of everything that I ever dreamed of, doing everything that I ever dreamed of, they became my structure instead of fantasies. They became goals instead of pipe dreams. When no one else was around to believe in me, when no one else was around to believe in those things, I was able to believe in those things fully, solidly, like rock solid faith in them because of the momentum I built with them, because I'm constantly telling myself something. I'm constantly reminding myself of something. I'm constantly going through these things. Even when I feel like I'm a million miles away, guess what? I'm still doing it. I'm still thinking about it. I'm still showing gratitude for it. I'm still dropping down and doing my tools and focusing on the person that I want to become. And that's mindfulness too. Not escaping reality, but staying connected to a future worth moving toward. Instead of imagining a future where I didn't have this person, because that's the future that's obviously going to come. That's the future that I got to have now. And instead of ruminating on the past mistakes and what happened and what went wrong and was I lied to or was I tricked, whatever the case was, right? I focused on purpose. I stayed connected to my future that was worth moving towards. The future that I was building before I met this person, the future that I was building while I was with this person, the future that I'm still building now. See, I noticed something after the Rising Scholar speech. Actually, I noticed it during. I noticed it when I was writing it. Is that even through every little battle that I was going through, even through me feeling like I lost myself, even through all of the heartache and all the pain that I've been going through lately, even through all of that, I was still me. I was still successful. I was still winning. I was still doing all of the things that I needed to do. And I realized that it was a manifestation. I realized that my mindfulness had really gotten me everything that I wanted. I realized that there was a time when I was locked up when I wanted to help people have access to the information that I had access to through the books, right, that I was reading, through all the learning that I was doing. And I wanted to do it through working at the library. But, if you don't have that much time, like getting to the library is tough. I didn't really have that much time. I just had the 5 years. So I didn't realize until I was writing the speech that, and I had mentioned it in passing to Raquel, one of the people that works up there, hey, this is a manifestation of my dream. Sending books back into the prison was a manifestation of my dream. I didn't realize just how full of a full circle moment that was until I realized that it wasn't just about sending books back in. It was about helping people get access to the things that I found. Not only in the prisons, but out on the streets. By helping people navigate the education system, by helping people enroll in classes, by helping people get away from that past that they were trying to run from, by helping people build the future that they could be proud of. I was realizing that transformation was actually happening in real time. But I wasn't noticing my own growth because I was too busy surviving. I was too busy going through it. I should say going through it, because I wasn't actually really going through much. I was too busy going through it to really realize just how far I'd come. I was so focused on where I still needed to go that I never realized how far I already came. I think a lot of us do that. I think a lot of us don't realize the little steps that we've done until that momentum starts to build so much that it becomes undeniable. Like, I didn't realize that, I had taken the step and I was getting back into church. I didn't realize like how much I was reconnecting with myself. I didn't realize that my routine was grounding me through the pressure. I didn't realize that I had gotten through the semester like really, really well until it had ended. I didn't realize that my dreams were becoming a structure instead of fantasy. Until to be honest, until I sit in this chair and I got these lights on me and I'm looking at this camera and I'm really realizing like, okay, I'm doing everything that I said I was going to do. But that doesn't mean that I can't acknowledge the other things that I'm going through. That can't mean that I can't acknowledge the fact that I'm worried about getting older, that I'm disturbed by the state of the world and what's going on. But I can care about what's happening in the world without letting it consume my entire mind. And that's something I talked about letting go. So let's talk about a couple actionable practices real quick. Pay attention to your momentum. Instead of asking, am I healed yet? Ask yourself, what direction is my life moving? That question is way more grounding. That question gives you way more of a realization for where you're really going. Because if you start to pay attention where your momentum is building, if you start to pay attention which way you're moving and which way you're trending towards, you will start to realize where you're going to end up. Instead of worrying, instead of ruminating. Just to say, okay, which direction am I going? Is it the direction that I want it to go in? Am I building with intentionality, or am I building something that's not going to look the way I want it to look? Because every day you build something, but is it what you are trying to build? Build anchors, not just motivation. Find 2 or 3 things that reconnect you to yourself consistently. So what does that look like for me? It looks like church. It looks like the gym. It looks like prayer. It looks like routine, creating. What does that look like for you? Because these become the anchors during pressure. When you're going through everything that you're going through, when you're going through those breakups, when you're going through those people leaving you, when you're going through people dying, when you're going through losing your job, when you're going through all of these different things, or you're going through having to deal with a terrible, shitty supervisor at work, when you're dealing with all of these things, what grounds you and brings you back to reality, what roots you to keep you from just sitting in that bed all day or doing something to yourself or going out there and letting the anger get the best of you and doing something to somebody else on the road. What roots you, grounds you, and brings you back and anchors you to reality. Peace usually isn't built in huge moments. It's built in what you keep returning to. And then take a few minutes and ask yourself, what version of me would younger me be proud of? And this builds on one of the things that I've said in my other videos. Like when you think about your 90th birthday or you think about your funeral, what do you want the people to say to you or about you? What do you want the people to know you for or remember you for? Like how did you touch the world? How did you affect the world? How would younger you react if they saw you? What version of you would they be proud of? Would they be proud of the person that lets their tears flow, but then still hits the gym, still builds what they're working on, still becomes successful, still wins in the end? Or would they be proud of the person who lets all of that stuff derail them from everything and go back out and relapse, go back out and use, go back to jail, go back to prison, go rob somebody, go get violent, hurt themselves, stay in bed all day? What version of you would the younger you be proud of? Ask yourself, what pain have you already survived? I think a lot of times we forget that we have survived pain. We're so focused on avoiding pain. And Tony Robbins talks about this in his book, is that we're wired to chase pleasure and to avoid pain. We're wired for that because pain usually does not equate to survival. Pleasure normally equates to survival. And that's an evolutionary thing because way back, pleasure was gotten from doing what? It was gotten from eating. It was gotten from washing yourself clean. It was gotten from hunting. It was gotten from winning, right? And it was gotten from like sexual reproduction, right? All of those things gave you that pleasure, so you chased it because that is how we were wired to survive, not only as an individual, but as a species. And we would chase pain because real pain physical pain, emotional pain. Like separation meant death. Not being cool with everybody in the tribe or not being cool with everybody where you lived at meant death. That animal biting your leg off, chasing you down and could kill you meant death. And so we're wired to avoid pain and chase pleasure. And see, the thing is that we've replaced what pain and pleasure mean, but we haven't evolutionarily or biologically or whatever you want to say, gotten to the point where we can recognize the differences between, like, if you ever think about public speaking is people's number one fear. Like, if you look at what things people fear the most, public speaking is like the number one fear that people got. And that will not kill you if you stutter in front of people. Trust me, I know, because I'm still getting paid. And I stuttered in front of the people at the Rising Scholars. I cried in front of the people at the Rising Scholars. I forgot what I was supposed to say in front of the people at the Rising Scholars. I cursed and I did all this other stuff, all in front of the people at the Rising Scholars. And guess what they did? They laughed. They clapped. They encouraged me. I'm still getting a check. And yet, if you were to ask people what their number one fear is, the majority of people in this world would say public speaking. And that gives you the same amount of stress, the same amount of pain as that animal biting through your leg or that animal chasing you down trying to kill you. A breakup, losing a loved one, losing a friend, moving, having to switch schools, embarrassment. All of those things are pain. They're legitimate pains, and I think we need to do better at recognizing when people have them, right? Because if we haven't evolutionarily caught up to where our bodies and our brains can tell the difference between that and, like, quote unquote real danger, right? Then we need to validate when people go through these pains. We need to validate when ourselves go through these pains. And we need to remember that we have already faced that pain. We have already gotten through that pain. So that means that this next pain is not going to kill us. This next pain is not going to be the one to take me out. And then we talk about, where have I already changed? And I think for me, it was morality. You know, people ask me a lot about legality and morality, right? They say, oh, you know, you wouldn't break the law anymore, this, that, whatever, right? And I think the thing is that I've changed morally. My morality has changed, because there was a time when I would tell you, well, I ain't going to break the law. But that also kind of meant that if nobody was looking, or if I felt like I could get away with it, then I would do it. Wouldn't even do that no more. I wouldn't want to deprive somebody else of their hard-earned money, their belongings, whatever the case. I wouldn't want to give somebody a substance that is going to take them on a spiral that could possibly ruin their lives or make them end their lives. I don't want to do those things anymore, whether they're legal or not. And I think for me, that's what changed, is the morality. Also, my outlook on things, my optimism, the way that my viewpoints, my goals, like, so much things have already changed, right? So instead of feeling like, oh man, like I'm not perfect, I'm not there yet, I haven't got there, I haven't arrived, I need to take the step back and realize how far I've come. See, a lot of people are growing while still feeling lost. And that's okay. That's normal. Healing isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it just looks like getting back to your routines, reconnecting with your faith, laughing again, caring about your future again, slowly recognizing yourself in the mirror again. And honestly, in a lot of ways, that's enough. See, I didn't become myself again in just one moment. I just slowly stopped abandoning myself. I slowly stopped abandoning, little Trevor. I slowly stopped abandoning little Tree. I slowly stopped being fake to myself and being true to myself and who I was when I was a kid. That kid that had all them dreams, the kid that knew we could go anywhere, the kid who knew we could go to the moon one day. The kid who didn't realize that we would become too tall and too big to sit in a fighter pilot cockpit, right? But that kid who still dreamed of doing all these different things. I stopped abandoning myself, but it took years. It took years. And then there was some backtracking when I went through this thing last year. It took some months to get back out of that. But to be honest, it was easier this time because I had the routines. I had the things to anchor myself. And I had the answers to those questions. Be not weary in well doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. Keep going. Keep going. Keep building momentum. Keep building little victories. Keep telling yourself how you feel about yourself. Keep being positive with yourself. Keep telling yourself you are worth it. Keep telling yourself that you're better than this. Keep telling yourself, you know what, I'm going to show up regardless. Keep telling yourself, like, no, I'm going to get out of the bed today. Keep telling yourself, like, no, I'm not going to hurt that person today. Keep telling yourself, like, no, I'm not going to hurt myself today. Keep telling yourself, I'm not going to worry about the past. I'm not going to worry about the future. Keep telling yourself, I'm just going to build myself one day at a time. Keep telling yourself that you're just going to focus on becoming the best version of you, the best person that you could possibly be. Keep telling yourself that every single day, and every single one of those is a victory, and every single one of those builds momentum. And that's been your boy Trevor Turner, and this was Mindfulness. All right, if you liked it, please like the video, share it with your friends. I put these videos up on my Spotify, on whatever podcast app that you like to listen to podcasts. They are a little bit behind, so if you want the audio versions of this, you probably have to wait for it to catch up. But I do have episodes going up every week, just like these are coming up every week. So be on the lookout for those. And yeah, man, let me know what you think. Let me know if you're rocking with it. And I'll see you next time. All right, deuces.